Welcome to Hate to Wait, where two lifelong dieters talk about their current struggles with weight loss. Diets, we've tried them all. We are not doctors, we don't play them on TV or on this podcast. Join our journey because misery loves company.
Hello, Emily.
What? Whoa, where are you, John?
I just figured we're all jacked up on caffeine. We might as well.
I am.
Well, you drink mushroom coffee. I didn't think mushroom coffee had caffeine in it.
It's regular coffee, but they add specialty mushrooms to it. And by specialty, I don't mean the drug. I'm not hallucinating. I'm not on a trip or anything. But I like the taste of mushrooms. And I like some of the properties of mushrooms when you look into it. And a lot of people just look at them and say, oh, they're fungus. It's gross. I love the taste of mushrooms.
Me too.
And actually, if we want to go into food psychology and Emily, it's because my ex-husband hated mushrooms. And I don't like when people eat my leftovers, and he would always eat my leftovers. So whenever we went out to eat, I would look on the menu really quickly and scan it to see what had mushrooms on it so that he wouldn't eat my leftovers. Emily doesn't share food. There we go.
You're a genius. So you hate it when somebody eats off your plate, like if someone wants to try something?
If I offer it, it's fine. And I usually do offer it. But then there are some plates when you go to the fancy restaurants and you get this tiny plate and I'm like, you know, a Post-it size piece of meat that's $22. I really don't want to share that.
No.
I'll offer, but I'm hoping you say no.
Right. Okay. I got you.
But you could take off my plate if it's like, oh, fries, tons of fries. Yeah, please.
Okay. Just wondering. So you've been a busy girl this week, and you got me Instagram storying.
I know, I saw.
I've been Instagram storying like crazy. I don't know. But the thing is, people are responding to me. So I was shocked. Like I'd go on and I was like, whoa, because I had fear of missing out. I want to change my podcast studio around.
What?
Yeah. I want like a neat table.
Oh.
I want a different studio. I want a more of a broadcasting vibe instead of, you know, like a end of the world prepper vibe that I have down here. I want to change it up a little bit. So I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud, to be quite honest with you. Yeah. So I've been Instagram storying, and I've been hearing all good things about you. I mean, you're working on things, doing things. You're going to come down to my neck of the neighborhood next week, Saturday, I think.
Yeah.
2 days,
yeah.
right? So how was the rest of your week, or how's your week been since we last spoke?
So since we last spoke, I was looking at my diet a bit more. So with intermittent fasting, it is really nice because I don't have to think much about what I'm eating. But I have started trying to get more vegetables into my diet for a few months. And a lot of days I don't actually do it because it's another thing that I have to prepare or another thing I have to make. And when my husband goes to drive-through, the only vegetables are maybe on a burger or technically French fries. But I don't think once you fry them in oil, they should be called a vegetable anymore.
Really?
They're a starch.
I guess.
They're fine. They're good. But they definitely leave me in a slump afterwards.
Oh, okay. They make you feel different.
Yeah. So I've been trying to put more vegetables in, and it does show. Because last week, the whole fluke of going up a pound, I don't know why. It didn't really get to me. But I was still thinking about it because I couldn't figure out why. There wasn't a real reason aside from sleep deprivation. And once I got my sleep back on schedule, it seemed to work out fine. And now Shark Week is coming, but the scale is being nice about it this month, so.
Okay. Well, so after we got off the show on Thursday, I started thinking about, I'm going on Monday, I had to go to the weight loss surgery, the bariatric surgery appointment. Now I was meeting with a nutritionalist. I went through the same thing as like, well, as long as I'm eating within my window, then it should be okay, right? I shouldn't gain weight. And as a self-proclaimed foodaholic, I just started having tons of anxiety about going to this dietitian. And I started like eating things that I was like, well, you know, maybe I won't be able to eat this anymore because once I go to this dietitian. And I went on a run. I went on a run from Thursday to Sunday. And we'll talk about this later on and what it did to the scale. But I have to tell you, when I went in there and I stepped on the scale, I thought, honestly, if there was a bridge, I would have jumped off of it. But that being said, they were so nice. They were really, really nice. And they're like, okay. And they have to hear this all the time. They have to deal with nudniks like me on a daily basis. So we went back over everything, and she said, what are you doing? I said, intermittent fasting. And then she goes, I remember you. You're the podcast guy. I'm like, yeah, I'm the podcast guy. So we went over everything. And then she said, look, intermittent fasting is okay, but with what we're doing here now, we want you to eat within an hour of when you wake up for the simple reason it revs up your metabolism. And we want that to happen. I said, okay. And then she went over my, again, we're joking around. So she went over my fitness pal. She's like, doesn't look like you missed the fast food place here. We got Arby's, we got Taco Bell, we got McDonald's, we got Wendy's, I said, well, I was trying to do my best. Anyhow, so we go through that whole thing. So right now, I'm still doing the intermittent fasting, but I get up in the morning and I have breakfast, and then I have lunch, and then I'm done for the rest of the day. And that's a thing.
That's hard.
That's a thing. And I told him before, I said, look, this is why I stopped doing this before, because my mind goes insane when I know that I'm not going to be able to eat, or if you're going to take this away from me, I'm like, I don't know if I can handle this. So they booked me. I have to go to see the psychologist or the therapist or whatever they have over there to talk me through this and see if we can, see what we're going to do. I'm going through it. I don't care. Like I said, I'm like, this is like a bad gallbladder. I have to have it out. Have it out. But they couldn't have been nicer. We went over some things. That's where I got the dude cooking thing from. I told her, I said, I'm a dude. I don't really cook. And so she's like, okay. And then what can we do? And how do you feel about salads? And how do you feel about making stuff like tuna fish and all? I'm like, yeah, I can do that. And she says, well, so we went over a bunch of, how to batch. She says, I told her I had an Instant Pot. She's like, perfect. So she says, okay, what I want you to do is I want you to get a couple chicken breasts, you put it in there. She gave me some like salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, put it in there, cook that down, then shred it, and then put that in the refrigerator. And then when you want salad, you take some chicken out of that into the salad. So you want to make like a chicken salad, you can take that, put a little mayonnaise on it or something like that, and go with that. So she gave me a lot of good ideas. So from that point on, I've been a very, very good boy.
I love hearing that.
All right. Before that, I was a drunken sailor on a 3-day pass. So we'll see. And again, it's funny because the way my weight goes, the swing in the weight from Thursday to Monday and Monday to today was amazing. So
wow.
We'll get into that a little bit later. I don't want to spoil it. But the thing about it is the shame that you feel, like the shame you feel when you are dieting and you fall off the wagon, or that shame you feel, when you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing, and trying to get over that or get around that or even stop it, because it's almost like an out-of-body experience. People that are listening to this and they don't really have that foodaholic thing, like they're snackers. When you get upset and you eat, or you're happy and you eat, or annoyed and you eat, when you turn to food to kind of comfort you, when you have that, I'm going to say addiction, it's embarrassing. And the other thing is that you wear it on your sleeve. Like you can't get away with it. Somebody that drinks alcohol, you can be a functioning alcoholic and nobody really knows about that. Every once in a while, he says his breath's always so minty. That's the first thing for me that always says, that they've been drinking or something, like, especially after lunch. After lunch, his breath is so minty. It's like mouthwash. So anyhow, having to go through that and then go through the going in there knowing, thinking that I'm going to get an ass chewing, but not, just makes me want to do it better. I don't know how to explain it. Like, I felt like somebody was on my side for a change.
Yeah.
Like, okay. All right. Okay. Well, all right. Let's not get, all right, you're beating yourself up enough. I'm not going to pile on and beat you up with you.
Right. I feel like you got there. Your anxiety had already given you such a run through that I feel like anything they could have said was probably better than the things you were saying to yourself.
Right. I was going to quit the podcast. I was moving to, I was going to be a monk somewhere where they only have rice and beans or whatever they eat over there. That's the only way I'm going to be able to do this. Again, I want to be locked in a cage and fed for like a year and a half until I can, I I can't do this myself. I just can't do this myself. This is why I'm doing the surgery. This is why I need that tool. I don't know if I mentioned this last week, but I was listening to a podcast, nothing to do with weight loss, but they know me from podcasting, and they know that I'm having weight loss surgery. And they're sitting there saying, they're talking about me, and they're like, well, why is he getting the surgery? Why don't he just like not eat? Or what? Has he tried everything else? And I'm like, I'm 57 years old. How much more stuff can I try? How much more can I try? It's been a really tough 2 weeks, but we're back on again. I'm dude cooking.
Yeah, you're dude cooking. That's cool that they were so nice. I'm sure they know that people come to them and they only see those people for a half an hour or an hour at the most. But the history that led them to that appointment is so much more than that time that they could even get out in that time to them to say, well, it's not as simple as being addicted to food. It's, okay, what exact feelings do you feel that make you addicted to this food? Or what happened way back when that made you start turning to food? So it's really nice that they're nice and they're good and understanding about all that.
Alyssa in the chat says, you almost want that ass chewing. You almost want them to just say, you. Yeah, again, it's back to this again. Where is he?
So there you are, Tubby. You look like a bucket of lard on a bad day. You baby gorilla. Why don't you work a zoo and stop bothering people?
It's you almost want that. I don't know.
But when you think about it in real life, because I was just thinking about how much we try to guess for the future based on what we know from movies and TV, which is not a good representation of how people actually act. I don't feel like you would go to the nutritionalist and have them call you a bucket of lard.
I understand that, but I mean, you want that. Again, it's really weird. But so one of the things I did after I got out of the appointment and everything, I was driving home and I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? How am I going to stop this? How do I turn this ship around? Or how do I plug the holes in this Titanic that's going on right now? And I just said, okay, here you go, John. You can have anything you want. You can have pizza. You can have tacos. You can have burritos. You can have anything you want as long as you make it.
Wow.
Right? There you go. And I'm like, oh. All right. Because I'm not making pizza and I'm not making a burrito. Right.
Well, what about English muffin pizzas?
I guess I could. Yeah, I could. I definitely could make that. But I mean, so for me, it's more of I don't feel like cooking. I'm lazy. I don't want to even dude cook. I'm just going to go out and get something to eat and be done with it. But so then I said, okay, I can eat anything as long as I make it. No more fast food. I'm off the fast food. That's it. I almost want to put a wanted poster up there. I want to go to all these places and give my picture and say, if I show up, don't serve me.
Do not feed this man. He may offer you money. Do not feed him.
Right.
He will just keep coming back. We don't reward bad behavior.
Exactly. Do not feed this man. Put it right at the register. Oh, sorry, sir. We see your picture here. We can't serve you today. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that would help. I'm banned.
Who would be your worst offender? Would it be Taco Bell?
Oh, yeah, definitely Taco Bell. It's like a drunk that gets thrown out of every bar in town, and he's got to keep going further and further out. You know him. He's the town drunk. He gets thrown out of this bar and that bar because he gets belligerent. But I don't get belligerent when I eat. I mean, actually, if you're a fast food place, you want me because I have a big order. I'm there almost every day. So they're like, no, we're not going to ban you. Who knows? The Taco Bell in my town might close down if I ever decide to get this through. Here's the other thing, too. It saves me a ton of money. Just in the past, I just figured out how much I probably spend $15 to $30 a day going for breakfast, lunch, and dinner into a fast food, through fast food. And I spent $125 for groceries, and I'm not even a quarter of the way through them.
Yeah.
So
I also find with groceries, I underestimate how often I want vegetables or how much vegetables something is going to actually yield once I make it. So I never buy enough, and then it puts me in a scarcity mindset, and then I don't use it, and then it goes bad because I'm like, I don't want to use it yet. I'm not ready for that special dish of vegetables. And that's one of the things that I have to get over is there is enough. Buy more vegetables. If you have vegetables in the fridge, you'll cook them. And that's my thing.
I bought like a 3 plastic bowl, like a big, small, medium, large plastic red bowl thing. They're stackables. And so I call it my dude bowl, what I eat. So yesterday, what I did was I chopped up 5 white mushrooms and I chopped up a whole cucumber. And I took 2 cans of tuna fish with a little bit of mayonnaise and I put it in there with some low sugar. See, I'm not afraid of fat. I'm afraid of the sugar. So low sugar salad dressing. I put it in there. I mixed it up. It was a huge bowl and it was like 300 or 400 calories. It wasn't even as much as my breakfast.
Yeah.
And it was so filling afterwards, and I felt so satisfied. Instead of
you know what it is?
eating,
it's the chewing too.
Is that you think it's the chewing? Mm-hmm. See, now I got Dave Jackson thinking about making his own Chipotle. But see, then you got to cook the rice, and how the hell do you make a guacamole? I can't even get a ripe avocado. See, because I can't go. Well, I guess I could get I guess you could get guacamole at the store. That would be okay.
Yeah.
So I could do that. But yeah. I mean, how hard is it to make Chipotle? They just have like bins of stuff. They throw it in there. It's like going to the cafeteria at high school. It's like in the center.
They put too much cilantro in everything. I'm sorry, Chipotle.
I don't like cilantro. I always say no cilantro.
It tastes like soap to me. And that's the thing. Certain people have it where if they eat cilantro, it tastes like soap.
It's very
no
bitter.
One knows why.
For me, it's very, very bitter. I don't like it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So that's been my week. Now I go back in another month. So far, I go back to the dietitian in another month, and they want me to lose another 30 pounds. I got to shrink my liver. My liver right now is the size of Pennsylvania.
How do you shrink your liver? I know we've talked about this before, but I don't understand shrinking your liver, how that works.
Well, right now I have a fatty liver. So they say. So I guess as you do, and then if you stop eating food and you drink liquid, that shrinks your liver even more. So I have to do the shrink your liver thing. And then the other thing I'm doing, so after, let's see, like 2 o'clock, I stop eating. So I eat from 8 until 2. Is that right? 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2. Yeah, 8 in the morning till 2. So right around 2 o'clock, I'll drink one of those protein shakes, and that'll usually hold me over. So far, it's been going okay. But I'm really fixated because I'm making rules, but I'm not a rule follower.
No.
See, that's the problem. So I just have to make my own rules and stick to my own rules. That's my hardest my hardest part. It's like, okay, after 2 o'clock, you're not going to eat. You can drink, that's fine, but no more eating. And then no eating, no fast food, nothing that comes through. I've tried this before. Nothing that comes through a drive-through window. You can have that if you want to make a Taco Bell, whatever, and you want to get the ingredients and make that. You can have it, but you can't go there to get it.
What if you tried not going cold turkey, but you weaned yourself off by saying, I'm not going to the drive-through anymore. I have to go inside to get the food if I want it.
Yeah, that's the same thing because I'm not going inside. I'm not going
Exactly.
inside.
That's how I am. I don't want to go inside.
Honestly, that's why, I mean, to me, and you don't have these there, but one of my biggest vices was Wawa's macaroni and cheese. It's the best macaroni and cheese around. So I used to go there all the time. Well, they don't have a drive-through. So I just stopped going in. I'm just not going in.
But what if you give yourself that?
I don't know. I just, right now, I just want to try to get in some kind of control. I want to wrestle back some kind of control over, I hate saying the word addiction because it sounds so, you're addicted to food. It sounds so stupid, but it really is kind of, for me, it is. I don't know. I want to wrestle it back. I see people all the time fighting alcohol addiction and drug addiction. And I mean, that's a real fight. I'm trying not to go through a drive-through line. I mean, it's the weakest fight you could fight, to be honest. It is really the weakest fight you could fight.
But I think we have food in our lives the same way people have their vices. And most people, I'm guessing, I don't really know, but I know alcoholics have said, I wish I could just be one of those people to have a drink and put it down and walk away.
Exactly.
And that's how I feel you and I both feel about watching people who are quote unquote a normal size, watching them eat And watching it not register to them as anything other than this is sustenance I need to keep living. But for us, our food is love. Our food is acceptance. Our food is a barrier. Our food is protection to us. And other people don't have that sort of connection with their food, but we do. So it is like an addiction because all those things, the love, protection, those are things that humans naturally seek out.
I have had 6 cans of Miller Lite beer. Well, they're like the aluminum bottle things. They've been in my refrigerator now for over a year, maybe a year and a half. Now, I could drink a beer, one beer, a half a beer. I could drink a half a beer and be done for the day, the month, the year. It doesn't do anything for me. Now, Alyssa also brought something up. Now they have this horrific service called DoorDash.
No.
Well, they will go to Taco Bell, buy it for you, and bring it to your house.
Yep. Uber Eats.
Uber
same
Eats,
thing.
DoorDash.
Actually, no. Let's stop giving things because then I'm going to have to link to them in the show notes,
Oh.
and none of us want those things.
No, we're not linking to those in the show notes.
No.
But now, the one place that my Chinese food place that I like, they said, oh, we deliver. And then it was a DoorDash. And the guy says, oh, yeah, we go anywhere. You want to, anything. We'll go anywhere. If we Kentucky Fried Chicken, all that stuff, we'll go. I'm like, no. Only Chinese food. But holy cow. I mean, I guess same thing. I could go get Chinese food if I go there and go in and get the Chinese food. But most of the time, it's like, all right, I'm going to eat. I got a half an hour to eat or whatever before I got to go do this or something like that. I want the food here. So I'm going to order it, and have them deliver it. That I'm very efficient with. Okay, I need to eat in 30. Oh, let me see what time I need to call for the Chinese food. That I'm very, very efficient at. But, making the food, getting it done, cleaning up, all that. That's a bother. So much of a bother.
Yeah. I think what's funny is there's an episode of The Office where a really tubby guy, they give him a math problem with just numbers. And he's like, I don't know. They give him the same math problem, but instead they add something like 350 cupcakes times 12 bins. And he's like, oh, and he knows the answer right away because it's food related. When it comes to food, we could be very type A with convenience and planning out convenience for us.
Yeah.
But when it comes to actually making the food ourselves, it's like, I'm doing the Winona Ryder gif of her looking at the math of like, what?
I found a Chinese place that's near me, but it's like in the town and there's no real parking. So, you never know where you're going to get a parking spot to go in and get it and stuff like that. But it's really amazing. So that's where when they have it delivered, I have that delivered. I swear to God, they have Chinese, the fried dumplings that I love. They have them. They're the size of a baby's fist. They're huge. And usually you get 6 of them, you can eat them. When you get 6, I can't even eat 6 of them. I eat like 3. They're amazing. He's off the list. They're all off the list. So, but again, it's just fighting this. And here we are. This is episode 49. We've been doing this almost a year.
Yep.
I feel like I'm nowhere. I don't know. It's been a year. I'm still battling.
Well, the thing is, you've kept battling. You didn't stop and give up. There have been a few days and maybe a few days in a row, but the fact that we've been doing this for a year and we check in every Thursday, and then at the end of the show, it's like even if we don't say it, we promise that we're going to try better the next week. It's that continuing to try that means that you're going in the right direction. You know that this is what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, I was watching a show, and I forget the name of the show, but someone had just came back from alcohol rehab, and they said, "How you doing?" Or, and they said, "Listen, I want to drink so bad, but I'm just going to tell you all in promises, and I'm not going to drink today." And I said, "Okay, well, that's going to be my mantra now. You know what? I really want to do this, but for today, I'm not going. I'm going to eat well. I'm going to dude eat." And Mark's in the chat, and he says, if it wasn't for this podcast, I would not be going for surgery. He's absolutely right. Because at the one point, I woke up in the morning and I said, you're just kidding yourself. You're just dancing around this. You just go get this done. Pretend it's your gallbladder. Pretend it's bad, and you have gallstones, and you have to have it out, and there's nothing else you can do about it. Just pretend that that's the way it is, and you're just going in. You don't have a choice. Your appendix is about to burst. You got to go in and they got to yank it out. Well, that's how I feel about. That's how the mindset for the surgery, because I would have had this 2 years ago, and we probably wouldn't even had this podcast. If I would have went through this 2 years ago, I would probably be down where, moving around and stuff like that, and I wouldn't have to do that. So now I've lost another 2 years, and I just don't want to lose any more.
But you got a cool podcast out of it.
Well, yes. See, there's always there's the scales, you know what I mean? Okay, you're still very tubby, but you got a great podcast and a great community.
Yeah.
But if you weren't tubby, you wouldn't have this. Honestly,
Yeah.
if I got to be honest, I really would rather not have the podcast. But I mean, okay. Okay. So we have the podcast, and then we'll go from here.
But you also now, 2 years later, this is 2 years difference. You have this community, people who are looking to you and looking to support you, where you might not have that 2 years ago when you went through that.
Right. Yeah. Because it's the other thing is about the community. It's like, don't look at me as an example. Look at me at what not to do. See what John's doing? Don't do that. Do the opposite. I got to be like George on Seinfeld. Do the opposite. Up is down. Right is left. In is out. Exactly.
You know what, though? I don't think for people in this group and people listening to the podcast that they're looking to you for what not to do. They're looking to you so that they don't feel alone in their own struggle, because we're all going through this. Even though when I weigh in and I talk about, I had a great week, it's because of people sharing their wins and also people sharing that they're struggling and they're getting back on the wagon. That's inspiring me every week to do better.
I hear you. I mean, I see people in our community all the time, and they are such inspirations, and I feel like I'm letting them down. So then you just want to kind of, I don't know, I guess you just want to recede or, just not engage anymore because you feel inadequate. You feel like, well, they're doing it. What's wrong with me? It really is a horrible mindset.
Yeah.
It's why I'm here. You know how hard it is to come on here and talk about everything that I'm talking about in a forum where when you look, they're listening to it in England, all across the States, in Canada, and everybody's listening to this, and I'm just pouring my soul into this, and it sounds horrific. I mean, I don't tell my family what I talk about on here.
But I think one of the great things that we have to remember when we put ourselves out there is for a year that we've been doing this and putting that stuff out there that we don't talk to our family about or we've never talked about before. For me, you and I have never gotten anything negative from this show. We may have gotten 2-star reviews or whatever. I haven't looked, but I know we have at least one 1-star review.
How dare they?
How dare they? But the reason is because we weren't for them. We built a community. We started a community, and everyone built it up around us that is just, it's so amazing. And we don't get that sort of stuff that we're afraid that we're going to get when we put it out there that I'm struggling. I'm not the size I'm supposed to be according to the BMI charts.
It's a struggle. I'm not going to lie. It is a struggle.
You know, it's funny. You tell the truth on every other podcast you're on. Any other podcast, when they're talking politics, when they're talking humor, when they're talking current events, it's like, here's John's truth. He wants to say it as loudly as possible into the microphone. So it's interesting that in here, all of a sudden, when it's about you, you're very much...
I never thought of it that way. Yeah, podcasting to me is truth serum. Whenever I get on anybody's podcast and they ask me my opinion, I just let it hang out. I let it go out there. Whether it gets me in trouble. Gets me in trouble a lot of times. It gets me in trouble, especially when I'm joking around. I make jokes. Because I love it when you make jokes and people go, "Oh, I was offended." Okay, you're offended. You know what? Me offending you, you'll get over that faster than if you stubbed your toe. So, sorry you were offended. Not sorry for what I said. Whatever. It's how I feel. What do you want from me?
Stephanie is perfect in the chat room. She says, being uncomfortable means you are progressing. Absolutely. Oh my gosh, true. I love that phrase.
Now, and so she is putting a podcast out called Uncomfortably Comfortable, where she puts herself in uncomfortable positions because that's where the growth is. And they say that all the time. That's where the growth is. Yeah. So start a podcast and talk about everything that you would never tell anybody else in front of people. I've never seen the chat. There's 9 people in the chat right now. I mean, there's 9 people watching this live. Hey.
And you know what? Do we have any angry faces? Do we have any sad faces?
No. Just the
people.
Yes.
People are great.
Right. Everybody's been great. And I listen, I appreciate it. I really do. And it does. It makes me feel, it's the same way when I went into the appointment. I figured I was going to get an ass chewing. And when they were so nice to me, I was like, wow, that was surprisingly not bad at all. So, and then here, it's the same way. Everybody's been so, it's comfortably uncomfortable. Thank you, Stephanie. And she wants me to be a guest. You believe that? She wants me to be a guest. Hey.
Yeah, I'll be on there too.
See, there we go.
See?
All right. So now that I've done enough whining, should we get into the Winning Wednesdays?
Whining Wednesdays.
Whining Wednesdays. Whining Wednesdays.
All right, let's go.
Winning Wednesday, Winning Wednesday, Winning Wednesday, Winning Wednesday, Winning Wednesday.
Which person do you never read that you say that I always get?
Julianne, I'm doing the math to see. Okay, if I start, I'll be able to read Julianne's.
All right, go ahead. Start.
Okay. Ingrid says, I did my longest ride on the bike, did 10.5 miles. Yay!
I looked at Andrea's. I was like, oh my God, I got to read that and not make a mistake. Here we go, Andrea.
Well, before that, I will say, I really want to get my bike out. I bought a bike. My husband actually bought it for me maybe 4 years ago. And I was less than I am now. But the thing is, the seat, the mechanism to hold the seat in place and adjust the height, I guess I'm too heavy for it. So every time I sat on it and it would, okay, this feels tight. After I'd ride, it just boom, boom, just drop me on the bike every time. And I love this bike and I want a bike so badly.
Well, tighten it up tighter.
I'm trying.
Listen, I know I can get on a bike and sit on a seat and it won't flop down. So you just tighten it tighter. You can do it.
I have tried. My husband has tried too. So eventually I'm going to bring this bike to somewhere to be like, fix it, super glue it in place. I don't care what you have to do.
Weld it.
Weld it together. That's all I want. I want to get on my bike.
All right. I don't know. Bike, they don't make a comfortable bike seat. I always said, like, if I tried to ride a bike right now, I'd have to go to a proctologist to get the seat out. All right, Andrea. When in Australia last year, I discovered mint slices and I ate way too much of them. Like all in one sitting, way too many. But I was just there for 3.5 weeks and didn't have one. I didn't substitute any either. What I am doing is to have decaf tea. I'm building a ritual out of that to substitute for the craving, boredom, emotional eating. There we go. How about that? That's a great way of building a ritual, making a ritual.
Was that a doot for you reading that or a doot for Andrea?
No, for me.
There you go.
For me reading it, it's a
doot.
So, I screwed it up. You won't know that now because I fixed it in editing.
Yeah, that's right. You did a great job.
Mm-hmm.
Stephanie says, I didn't overdo it with the fats and I ate inside my window. Yay!
Elaine says, in my quest to add more veggies, I made roasted avocados. You can roast them?
That sounds great.
Yeah. Then had to Google how to eat one. What?
I understand that. I totally understand that. So one day in high school, my cafeteria had a fruit basket and you could just buy a fruit. And one day I just decided I'm going to learn to eat a kiwi. And I had never eaten a kiwi before. So I bought it and I used a knife. This was before Google. And I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't think I eat the outside. So I went and I grabbed a spoon.
And scooped it out?
Is that the right way to eat a kiwi? I've never actually. That's how I eat a kiwi, though.
How I eat a kiwi is I cut it in half. I take a spoon and I cut, take the skin off and I eat and then if I want to, I'll cut it, but that's how I eat it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. But yes, I understand that you have to Google how to eat something because sometimes I don't know.
Right. It's like an artichoke. I don't even know how to eat them. Look at that thing. It looks like a grenade. And I have a feeling that thing will get stuck in my throat. And the next thing I know, what happened to John? Well, he was eating healthy and died eating it. Yeah.
BJ says documentation of every bite of food, 100%. Yippee!
That is hard. I'm not going to lie. That is hard. It's easier when you're on plan than when you're running amok and you're binging because you're like, I ain't putting that in there. But no, congratulations. Lindsay said, went to the baseball game this weekend. Go Braves. Boo Braves. I'm a Phillies fan. And didn't eat any of my fatty tasting food. Stuck with water.
Right. That would be hard for me because baseball for me is, so I was a Mets fan, and for about $30, I could go into the city. This was back when they were at Shea and they weren't that great. For $30, you could get a ticket, you could get a hot dog and a beer. And it was the greatest thing in the world. And for me, now I have that association. If I go to a baseball game, I don't even really like beer. But if I go to a baseball game, I want a hot dog and I want a beer. And now it's like 75.
Yeah. See, I was a peanuts guy. I would go in there and I would just shell peanuts and eat peanuts through the whole game. I would get like bags and bags of peanuts. I watched the Phillies get shellacked last night. It was like 15-1. I was doing Insta stories how bad they were losing. I was saying, "Oh, look, it's 9-1." I'd go back. It was 12-1. I'm like, stop it. This is a mercy game.
Julianne says, back to the gym. Went swimming and doing bicycle and more 9 weeks post-op. Woohoo!
Michelle said -4 in 3 days.
Wow. Jessica said, have gone to the gym every day this week. I'm super sore, but feeling great. Yay!
Jennifer said, trying to move more this week and tracking over 10,000 steps each day for the past 5 days.
Wow. That's a lot. Annette says, made myself accountable for my food actions again this week by making friends with John on MyFitnessPal. Already seen a drop in numbers on the scales.
Yeah, she's doing better than I am. Congratulations. And it's nice to be, my fit. And again, my Fitness Pal moniker is Hate to Wait John. So if you're on my Fitness Pal and you want to join me, friend me.
Yeah, that's something I forgot to put in the show notes last week. Is there a link to your profile on there that I can throw in? Or is it just follow John at Hate to Wait John?
See, I mean, on the phone, it's tough. I think on the phone, you just got to search for Hate to Wait John. I don't think there's a link you can put in there.
Okay.
But yes. Brooklyn said, I did not gain weight last weekend. I usually sabotage my weight loss over the weekend and take until Wednesday the following week to recover. This is the first time in forever that I kept the momentum going strong. Woo!
Yes. Yes.
For that, you get a
do-do. That is a do-do because I remember when I first started intermittent fasting, and as soon as we would get to the weekend, as soon as actually we recorded this podcast, it was like my body was like, all right, permission to run wild until Sunday. Don't worry about it because you have... Yeah.
yes.
And the first time I decided, no, I'm actually going to make it through the weekend. I've worked really hard. Then it was like I couldn't turn back. And it really is that don't break the chain of, okay, this many days in a row, I've stayed in my window. Shane says, started to add IF in with my keto diet, and I am loving it. Down 4 pounds, which brings my total loss to over 100 pounds. Yay!
That is fantastic. Mark says, back on the Weight Watchers bandwagon, and I'm already seeing results.
Do-do! Do-do! Anna says, I started weighing in monthly, and I weighed on Monday, and this month is minus 22 pounds. I do keto and 18-hour intermittent fasting. Wow. Wait, a month. 22 pounds in a month. Wow.
I'm telling you, I must be doing keto. I'm doing everything wrong. I'm doing everything wrong. All right, we're back on it though, and well, so now we could talk about what we did this week.
Let's go!
Ladies and gentlemen, now is the time for the moment you have all been waiting for. It's time for the weigh-in.
All right, so this is 49, so thank goodness I don't have to go first.
Yep, 49, odd number episode, and Emily has an odd number of letters. So I get to go first. I am down 2 pounds.
Okay, so you're down 2 pounds.
Yep.
All right, so I went to the doctor's. Now, remember, that's a different scale than my scale. So
Yeah.
I jumped on the scale, and I had, they wouldn't let me get naked in the office. It's how they roll. So I couldn't get naked in the office. So I had my shoes and everything on. So when I got on the scale, I was up 20 pounds. Now, when I came home, did the naked thing. So it was actually up 15 pounds over the weekend. 15 pounds. I gained 3 last week. I was up 15. I gained 15 pounds in a week. How do you gain 15 pounds in a week?
Because you are a rebel and you were anticipating them saying, no more of this, no more of that. And you're like, I'll show them.
I was on a bender. I was on a fast food bender. So that was on Monday. I was up 15 pounds. Since then, when I got on the scale this morning, I'm down 5 of those 15.
Wow.
Right. So, okay. So actually, I'm up 10. So 3 last week, 10 this week. So now I killed our average. I just killed everything you did. You should break up with me.
I'm not going to break up with you because this is why we have the podcast. Imagine if we had a podcast and Mark said earlier, if we just kept losing weight, our podcast would be boring.
Oh, well, then good. Thank God I could spice up the podcast with my 10-pound weight gain. Ay, ay, ay.
But so you were worried about talking about it on the show.
Yeah.
What was the worst thing that you thought would happen?
Did I have
curious.
to talk about it in the show? The disappointment, people being disappointed in me, because we've been doing this for 49 episodes and I just keep getting it wrong and doing the same stupid things that I've been doing for 47 years, ever since I was 10.
So we have 10 people in the chat room.
Almost a half a century. Half a century I've been doing this.
Is anybody in the chat room disappointed that John gained weight this week?
Don't do this. Don't do this.
I want to know.
Of course they're going to say no. And be honest, if any of you are definitely disappointed, put it in there. I can't even.
See, look, you're living through it. You're growing. You're growing right now.
All right. Well, thank you. You guys have been very, very inspirational and helpful. And I'm still here. Even through all my nonsense, I'm still here. I think just throwing out I can't go to a fast food place. I can't get food through a drive-through. I'm not going anymore. Well, 2 things it does. First of all, my front seat of my car is very, very clean. And then secondly, I'm saving money. And third, it's actually helping me with the weight loss. So I just have to ban myself from doing these things.
Are you looking at the chat?
Oh, I'm looking at the chat. See, I'm embarrassed. I feel flushed. I know. Thank you.
No. Very good question. No way, John. You keep going. You got this. We've all been there. Mark says, I hate you, John. I'm going to go binge eat now. And we know Mark, so we know.
Where you going, Mark? I'll join you.
Lindsay says the only way I would be disappointed is if he gave up.
Yeah.
Did you give up?
I'm here.
You're here.
Yes, I'm here. So, all right, everyone. If you're listening to this nonsense and you're not in the Hate to Weight group and you'd like to be in the Hate to Weight group, all you have to do is go to hatetoweight.com/Facebook and join the group. We are up to a lot of members. I need to be more prepared. We are up to a lot of members. And if you'd like to be more of the lot of members, just go over there and sign up. And we'd love to have you in the group. We have a lot of fun in here. So, and the site, the group is growing, the podcast is growing, and we really appreciate you hanging out with us. All right, I'm done. Anything, Emily?
You okay?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Are you feeling the love?
I'm both. I feel the love and I'm embarrassed, but I'm here.
You're here and you're growing.
Right. It's the same thing. You know what this is like right now? Honestly, I feel a little bit like this is like if I went up on stage to do a stand-up act and I bombed. I have that feeling like I'm up here and I'm doing my best. It's just not going well. Not with the audience, with myself. I like the audience is laughing, but I'm disappointed in my act. Makes no sense.
But isn't that who you're doing the act for?
The audience.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, but I want to have a better result.
Yeah, I understand.
It's not like that at all. I don't even know why I use that analogy. It's not like that at all.
No, I understand where the analogy was coming from. Absolutely.
Okay. All right, everybody. We'll see you next week, and hopefully with a better result. For me, Emily's doing fantastic. I'm holding her back.
Next week will be Shark Week, so we'll see.
All right, everyone. We'll talk to you next week. Bye.